Hello, my name is Patrick Gentile, and welcome to the first in a series of 30 lectures of our proven SAT workshop program called SAT Gladiator. I will be your commentator as we embark upon a marvelous journey to decode, decipher, and unlock the secrets to the English language by using Latin and Greek tools. At the end of this lecture series, it is my expectation that you will have the confidence and stress-free tools necessary to become one of our many certified SAT gladiators. Our approach to each podcast will be simple and straightforward. Each podcast will be self-contained and independent of one another, so that you can work on these lectures at your own pace and schedule. Our instructor will then delve into 3 Latin roots and show you the exponential power of each of these roots, and how, when combined with prefixes and suffixes, you'll be able to easily understand the meaning of English words. To reinforce each root, our instructor will then go over in detail an SAT sample type question. At the end of the podcast, there will be a brief time practice quiz of additional SAT type reading questions and a reading passage to help ensure that you've mastered the material of the podcast. You can always go back to the tutorial to help you if you find that there is a prefix, root, or suffix that you're not sure about. And so, without further ado, I am proud to introduce to you our Master Classic instructor, Ms. Shannon Walker. Shannon, we're now in your capable hands.
Ta-da! All right, great. And if the others just jump in the middle, that'll be fine too. I appreciate you guys, the 3 of you showing up during your summer to work on this early start summer Latin awesomeness program that we're working on now. And let's get started by breaking down the first word. Can everybody see the PowerPoint?
Yep.
PowerPoint!
Yeah, I can see it.
It should say early start summer Latin awesomeness. Pretty easy to see. All right, good. Just get started with the first thing. We're going to talk about root words. I'm sure you guys haven't gotten to your junior year of high school without talking a little bit about the way words are constructed in English and how the foundation of English words are their roots. And those roots come usually from other languages. English is an amazingly weird language. Unlike any other language in the world, it just grabs words from other languages and it makes them English. That's what English does. It just absorbs everything it comes across and makes it English. So we're going to be looking at roots that come predominantly from classical Greek and Latin roots. And the first root we're going to look at is our Greek root. Yay! And that is phobos. It's a Greek noun. And if you know the root of the noun, you're going to be able to figure out its meaning. So let's go to Colin and Nicholas, who has an idea what they might think phobos means, the Greek word phobos.
Phobos?
Phobos. Nicholas, you go.
Some kind of fear?
Why do you say that?
Because of all the different phobias. So, phobos means the fear of something.
Very good. It is the Greek noun that means fear. And in fact, this is really interesting because this lets you know something about Greek culture. It actually was a proper noun. It was the name of one of their gods, the god of fear, the personification of it, who was a companion of Ares, the god of war. Everywhere Ares, the god of war, went, phobos, fear, went with him. So, and I was going to ask for derivatives, and I see Nicholas already gave us an English word that comes from that, which is phobia. Colin, can you give me another example of a word that comes from phobos, maybe something that has phobia in it?
Like
Where's Colin? There's Colin.
Words that, what?
Can you give me an English word that comes from phobos? Nicholas already gave us phobia, which is an irrational fear, but that word's often compounded or combined with other things in English. Can you think of a word that has phobia in it? Maybe you don't have any phobias and you don't know any. That's a very lucky thing for you.
I don't really know the words off the top of my head.
Well, that's cool. Let me tell you something. I'm very sympathetic to that because, and this is going to sound crazy, because I'm a Latin teacher and a language person and a word person. But one of the things I've always had the most difficulty learning when I started learning a new language was the vocabulary. I had to really work hard to learn it. Some people just grabbed it like that. I wasn't like that. So I'm very sympathetic, Colin. I'll go back to Nicholas. Nicholas, another derivative, another English word that comes from phobos.
Acrophobia.
Acrophobia. What's that?
The fear of height.
Very good. From the Greek word acro, which means the height. Anybody else? I'll even let Patrick and Ann and Robin get in on this if they're interested.
Claustrophobia. Claustrophobia.
Claustrophobia. In fact, that's the one I was going to point out next. Let me show you. Claustrophobia comes from the Latin noun claustrum, which means to be locked or bolted, like you lock the door, plus fear. So it's the fear of being locked in or closed in. Isn't it interesting there that you have a Latin word and a Greek word, and they just smushed them together, made an English word? Anybody else think of any other phobias they've heard of?
Arachnophobia.
Arachnophobia. I maybe have a little bit of that one. My husband has to handle all the spiders in our apartment. I don't know. I don't like things with too many legs. Too many means more than 4. Who else? Nobody else? Okay. I have one. One. Surprise, surprise. I have one. Let's take a look. Colin, I'm going to go with you on this one. I'm going to let you tell me what this word means because I know your confidence level is amazing. Okay, ready?
Yes.
The word is hippopotamonstrosequipedaliophobia. Colin?
I feel like that's like the fear of like really long words or something.
Oh, Colin!
Because I've heard that word is actually very long.
It is. I'm so proud of you, actually, Colin, because I was picking on you a little bit, and you just threw it in my face. That's great. This is kind of a made-up word. As you can see, it comes from the Latin adjective that means like 1.5 feet, because these words are like 1.5 feet long. The word monster, because big, long words are monstrous and scary. And then, just because monstrous escapedaliophobia isn't long enough to be a scary word, they added this Greek beginning, hippopoto, from the Greek word river horse. It's just added to make the word even longer and scarier, and it does mean the fear of really long words. So good job.
That is actually hilarious.
I know, right? I know. And so I wanted to throw this in because this is something that you guys are just not going to have to ever worry about in your lives, because we're going to be learning the roots. We're going to be learning the prefixes, the suffixes, and when you see a really monstrous long word, you're going to be able to break it down into its parts, and you might not be able to figure out the exact definition of it, but you'll at least be able to get an idea of what it's talking about, and there's really no reason to be afraid of any of these SAT words.
Where does the hippopoto come into that word?
Pardon?
Where does the hippopoto, which is like river horse, coming into that word?
Just to make it look longer and scarier, because the word hippopotamus comes from that word that means like river horse, and I guess they thought a hippopotamus is like a big monstrous monster, and if they stuck it at the beginning, it would just make it look scarier. I don't think it has anything to do with the meaning of the word. I think it's just somebody invented this word to scare people.
I would have put Tyrannosaurus for me.
Pardon?
I would have put something like Tyrannosaurus.
That would have been good too. Yeah, that would have been good too. But once again, you'll never have to worry about this word again because you're never going to deal with it. You're not going to have any fear of long words.